good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gents. This is by Casanova from Orlando, Florida, on this awesome international podcast, Good Wine and Great Laughs, the podcast for wine lovers, ladies and gents. Summer movies, reviews, and hot topic discussions. I'm Casanova, your host, and what I do here every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. I have the wine of the day. Ladies and gents, shortly I'm going to open this wine bottle here. I'm going to taste it. I'm going to give some information about the wine and I give my rate as far as 0 to 10, what I think about this wine. If you like my review, you like to try the wine, the picture of the wine of the day is always available on all my social medias, ladies and gents. So if you want to take a look at it, go ahead, subscribe over there. Be a follower on my social media. So every Saturday morning, I have a new wine of the day. Okay? During the months of June and July, during the summer, I do the summer movies reviews. Go to movie theaters. I watch some movies that are being launched on Netflix, Apple TV, whatever other platforms. There are the movies, new movies during the summer. I do a review as well. I always have a wine of the day for you as well. And for the rest of the year, ladies and gents, I do hot topics. That means after open the wine, you're going to watching some videos related to the topic of the day. And at the end, I always give you my 2 cents about what I think about the topic of the day, ladies and gents. So if you like wine, if you like some movie reviews, and if you like hot topic discussions that affect our lives directly or indirectly, ladies and gents, if you're serious about it, and if you have an open mind of discussion, this YouTube channel is for you, ladies and gents. So if you like the work I do, or I ask you to do, ladies and gents, just click on the like button, subscribe, and share this video or any other video that I watch with at least 5 people that you know. I appreciate the support, all right? So today is Saturday, September the 6th, 2025, and the weather here in Orlando is going to be a mix of cloud and sun, and scattered thunderstorms later. Highs of 91 and lows of 74 degrees, ladies and gents. So before I start talking about the topic of the day, let's talk about the wine of the ladies and gents. The wine of the day is right here. Dos Nalguitas is from Argentina. Is a Cabernet Sauvignon, and I believe is a vintage of 2020. Mendoza, Argentina. They say the Dos Nalguitas Cabernet Sauvignon presents deep ruby red color. Its aromatic nose melts blueberry, plum with mint, menthol, and fresh herbs. Firm tannins with a long and persistent finish. Ideal to pair with red meats, pasta, and strong flavored cheeses. Once again, this is product of Argentina, ladies and gents. Alcohol percent of this wine bottle is 13.5. I like that. First time having these Dos Nalguitas. So let's see what the Dos Nalguitas is all about. Let's put this right here. Very deep. I like the deep color, deep purple color. All right. Yes, ladies and gents, definitely rich in tannins, of course. But it is, in my opinion, a very good Cabernet Sauvignon, ladies and gents. I definitely give you a 9 for this Cabernet Sauvignon from Argentina, ladies and gents. Very, very good Cabernet Sauvignon. So let me pour more right here. So I can have more as we discuss the topic of the day, ladies and gents. And the topic of the day for today's lesson is Is Trump heading to the upper room? Is he? All right. Credits to Don Lemon, ladies and gents, the Young Turks that I've had it, and the Vinny Lakes Church. These are the videos that I'm going to play right here to collaborate with the topic of the day, ladies and gents. So enough saying, it is showtime. Go the first video, ladies and gents.
I know that many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here.
The first thing I would think would be congestive heart failure. And I know that they're saying that he doesn't have it, but let's just say, based on appearance, age, and likelihood. 6.7 million Americans have congestive heart failure, and when you have that, it can cause a backup of fluid and give you those swollen ankles, swollen legs like he has. If you have congestive heart failure, the treatment would be to give you a water pill, like a diuretic. Most average Americans will take pills by mouth, but if you're the president and you have access, you could take an IV water pill like Lasix, and what would you use? You would use your veins in your hands, okay? You would have IVs in your hands. Not saying that this is what he's done, but just telling you how my mind is working when I look at his hand. If indeed he is on aspirin and blood thinner and he's getting IVs, then that could explain this non-minor bruising. This is pretty significant bruising, but of course that would help his swelling to go down. The other thing that could happen potentially, I don't know for him, I'm not his physician, I would suspect that if you're getting a lot of water pills through the IV, that could cause your kidneys to not work as well, which could also cause you to have a backup of fluid. I am a board certified kidney doctor. I see this every day. He looks pale. A lot of people don't know that as far as your kidneys, they're responsible in a lot of ways for keeping you from being anemic or having low blood. Your kidneys cause your bone marrow to make red blood cells. So if you had any of these situations, then that could cause you to have the pale skin, the swelling in the legs and the ankles, the bruising in the hand that's bad enough to need to have some type of a concealer. My issue is, Don, that in the past, he has not been honest about his health. He's had that one doctor from 2013 to 2018 saying he was the healthiest president ever in the history. Exactly. He had another doctor prior to that who said he was the healthiest president ever elected. And then that doctor came back and admitted that Donald Trump actually dictated that note. And so he's already given us a history of not being able to trust what he says. So I don't care how many times they stand from the podium and say we're being transparent and they give us information. I'm still using my medical brain, and it's telling me that in this almost 80-year-old man, there's something else going on other than just really common benign conditions. I don't trust it.
Okay, so let's look at, so look how pale he is here. And I mean, and you can look at, and I don't believe these to be doctored photographs. That's a lot of bronzer or whatever it is. Now let's talk about, we're going to go through all of this. Can you just go back to the hands for me, Andy? Okay, let's look at the doctor. When you look at this, and what did Caroline Levitt said, that this is aspirin or whatever? I know he's not your patient, but what would you say if you were to look at a patient that had this type of symptom? What would you say the issue is, and how would you, what would you recommend the treatment for them to be?
Okay. So what she was saying, that he's on aspirin, which is a blood thinner. And yes, having a blood thinner is something that could cause some bruising. Typically not this much bruising. And so if I were his doctor and he's having this much bruising, I would say, what else could cause bruising? Liver issues. If you have liver failure, if you're on certain medications that are causing your liver enzymes to be up, if you have hepatitis, if you're taking certain cholesterol medicines, I would check his liver function test and find out why he's bruising so easily. Also, if I were his doctor, I might already know that he's on a high blood thinner. Now, I'm not saying it's about him specifically. I'm just talking about in general, if he were my patient. If he did have congestive heart failure, and if it were severe, then part of that management is a stronger blood thinner than just aspirin. A stronger blood thinner, which could cause a heavy bruising. And if you were my patient, then I would also know that if he's getting IVs in his hand, then maybe he needs to start switching them up and going to the other hand. This is not typical bruising. And if he's getting bruised like this from just a low dose aspirin, then there's still, I would suspect, an underlying problem.
Okay. And so you said that's not typical bruising from an aspirin. What about, it said they use the excuse that this is happening from handshakes. And I don't know why that would be happening from handshakes. So you'd think it would be on the other side.
Yeah, it's just not likely. And we already know that he's a germaphobe, so he doesn't love shaking hands. But for the longest time, taking a low dose aspirin, an 81 milligram aspirin, was the standard of care in people who were over 40 to prevent heart attacks. So that means he would not have been the first president taking a low dose aspirin. He's not the first president to shake a lot of hands. Right. Why didn't we see this with President Obama, President Bush, President Clinton, you name it? It's not typical. No matter how much they say that it's normal, it's not. I believe that there's more. Yeah.
Okay. And what would you, if you were a patient, like what would your concern be? I know I told you what's the prognosis, but what would your concern be for this person? Would you tell them to fix their diet? Should they be hospitalized? Should they be monitored often? How often should you see them? How severe would you think this is?
I would just say we need to do a full workup on why you're bruising so easily. And so we would call it a coagulopathy workup to make sure that there's no leukemia, to make sure he doesn't have low platelets, that he doesn't have poorly functioning platelets. Again, to make sure he doesn't have liver function issues, to make sure that he's not taking a medication that is causing him to do this. Because sure, bruising on the hands, okay, is not necessarily nice looking or aesthetically pleasing. But if you bruise this easily on your hand, what do you think would happen if you fell and you hit your head? I would be concerned that he's a high risk for a brain bleed if he were to fall. And we have seen him stumble a time or two as he approaches 80 years of age. So I would worry that he has a bleeding disorder and that we need to pay attention and make sure that, hey, maybe he needs a walker or something to ensure that he doesn't fall. If he were a patient, which of course he's not.
Let's put the picture of his ankles up, okay? And this was the first indication for people. I mean, people saw the hand and they wondered, but then when they saw the ankles, they had to, I guess the White House realized we got to say something. When you see that, what do you think, along with the hand?
The first thing I would think, just in seeing this in a vacuum, would be congestive heart failure, kidney failure. Absolutely. Those would be my top two. The congestive heart failure is when your heart does not pump strongly enough to get all the blood and the oxygen forward. And so you get a backup of fluid in the feet, ankles, legs, lungs. Okay. So congestive heart failure can do that. We know that you're at risk for congestive heart failure if you are someone who's older than 70, like of course he is. Also, if you love to have fast food and burgers and you have high cholesterol, you could be at risk as well. He has a history of being a fast food lover, reportedly. The other thing I would think is kidney failure. And again, that's my specialty. If your kidneys aren't working as well to filter out your blood and to make urine, you get a backup of fluid. So that's what I would think in a vacuum if I saw his ankles. Of course, what they've shared is the most benign cause of swollen ankles, which is chronic venous insufficiency. That is not life-threatening. That is very common. And so it's a very safe diagnosis to present to the world without us questioning the health and the virility of the president.
People in the chat are asking about his lips.
What? Now, I don't know about his lips now. Let me see his lips.
I guess they're red and pink or whatever.
Yeah, even as a young man, he's always had these little tight lips. Anytime you watch Saturday Night Live or the people who talk about him, but let's just talk about lips in general. If his lips were to be like blue or really pale or white, then we would think hypoxia or low oxygen or cyanosis. We know that back when he had COVID, even though he walked up and tried to seem strong, when he got out of the hospital and he snatched the mask off, even though we could still see that he was out of breath, we found out later that he had covered up, that he had high fever, that he was on oxygen, and that he had respiratory problems. If he were to have some consistent prolonged issues with his breathing, like some chronic lung disease, then that's something that could cause a cyanosis or a bluish lip. Now, if he has very red lips, then something that could happen. And again, I'm not saying that he has this. I'm just kind of going through the differential diagnosis. Sometimes in patients who have kidney cancer, they actually make a hormone from the kidney, erythropoietin, that causes you to have very high red blood cells, like too many red blood cells, the opposite of anemia. And that can sometimes cause you to have a ruddy complexion, like a red complexion or red lips. Again, I don't know. I'm not his doctor, but just kind of going off of my experience as a doctor, the things that I think when I see his lips. Why he holds them so tightly, that I cannot tell you.
Okay, that could be a number of things, but what about like puffy eyes in the eye bags here?
Oh gosh, puffy eyes. And there's something on my YouTube channel. I literally just released a video on 5 warning signs of kidney disease that can be written all over your face. One of them was puffy eyes. So puffy eyes, swelling around the eyes, periorbital edema. That's something that can happen if you have kidney failure. Okay, if you're not making enough urine and you have a backup. Also, if you leak protein out in your urine, it's normal to have 0 or very little protein in the urine. But if you have some type of a kidney disease and you're leaking out protein, then you can have a backup of fluid and you can get puffy eyes. Clearly, there are other things as well. It could just be aging. He could have allergies. He could be tired. But when you're looking at someone who's looking as pale and as tired as he, with all of that bruising, I would want to make sure I rule out some of the more serious health problems.
Doctor, wow, you have been so informative on this. Did you get to say everything you wanted to say? And I'm sorry I did not get to see that you were in the chat. Did you send us a chat or no this morning?
I did. I was sending a chat. You're like, is there a healthcare provider in the audience? I was like, me. Yes.
I felt like the people, doctor, on the airplane when there's in the back, you know, when someone is like, oh my gosh, it's there. And they go from the back of the plane to the front and they go, is there a healthcare professional on board? And then you know someone is having an issue on the plane. So I wanted to ask because I don't want to diagnose. And I know that he's not your patient, right? But
he's not my patient. If we're taking everything on surface level and we believe what his press secretary says, but then it's the end of discussion. But of course, here in the elimination, we're all thinking people. And if it doesn't seem like it's adding up, it's probably not. And so I'll be anxious to keep watching him. We know he loves to project being strong, tough, strong, masculine, but something in the milk ain't clean. There's more to it. Yeah.
What should our concern level be as American citizens? And before I get to that, let me ask you: can this have any impact on your cognitive abilities?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If you were to have severe congestive heart failure or kidney disease and you were anemic, well, that would mean that you're not getting enough blood flow and oxygen, not only to your different organs in your body that we think of every day, but also you might not be getting a proper blood flow and oxygen to your brain, which could impair your thinking. If you're anemic, you will be very fatigued and not always clear of thought. So yes, this could definitely affect your cognitive ability, your decision making.
And as we look at some of the photographs, what should our concern level be as American citizens? Because he is leading us, and we have a right to know about our leaders' health conditions.
As American citizens, I would be concerned that he is not being transparent. As soon as people started suspecting our former president, President Biden, and his performance in that debate, which of course I'd like to forget. As soon as we had some type of suspicions that maybe things weren't all the way clear, then you had people on both the right and the left saying, hey, you need to be fit to lead. But of course, President Biden has always been very transparent. With Donald Trump, my concern would be that if he's not transparent and he's still the one who's making the decisions for our country, then we might be led down a wrong path. Not that we're on a good path right now in whatever kind of authoritarianism, dictatorship that's happening. But my concern is that he's not being transparent. That's my concern.
Yeah, I'm wondering where the books on his health condition are, and people who are, as they talked about Joe Biden. I'm just wondering. But we'll see. The doctor has the Dr. Frida. This is Dr. Frida. I was going to say Dr. Frida show, but Dr. Frida on YouTube, and she is killing it over there, over here on the YouTube. So make sure you go and follow her, subscribe to her, and tell your subscribers and followers to come check us out over here on the Lemon Nation. Okay?
Absolutely, will do.
Thank you, and we'll have you back. We really enjoyed having you.
Thank you. Enjoy being here.
I predict Trump is going to have some type of collapse within the next 12 months at the current trajectory. I'm not saying he's going to collapse. I'm saying if he doesn't take his foot off the gas pedal, I guarantee you, and I've got stamina, way better than most people. If I had Trump's job at 51 for a month, I would have a nervous breakdown.
You guys, Trump is tired, he is overworked, and now there is plenty of talk around Trump's health, from the strange bruising on the back of his hand to the now chronically swollen ankles. But don't worry, America. Vice President J.D. Vance is ready and able to step up if and when he should have to. So just to give you all a very quick rundown of how we got to this point, Trump's health was called into question when people started noticing bruising on the back of his hand. The bruising was sometimes covered up very badly, to the point that it was almost even more noticeable with makeup. But White House officials explained the bruising away, saying that that's just what happens when you shake as many hands as Donald Trump has to shake as the president. So actual doctors, however, said that that type of bruising is typical of people who are on blood thinners. Then people started noticing his very swollen ankles, which, as far as we know, is not a symptom of excessive handshaking. And finally, after all of that, we got a diagnosis. The president has chronic venous insufficiency, which means that his veins are struggling to pump blood back up to his heart. So on top of all of that, we saw after Trump's Alaska summit with Vladimir Putin that he couldn't walk in a straight line. Take a look.
Striking to me, Scott, that you have this setup here. The sign says Alaska 2025. There's a blue platform for the leaders to stand on, which aides were vigorously vacuuming in the hour leading up to this meeting. But then flanking the stage are F-22 jets, American F-22 jets, noses pointed in toward where the two leaders will be standing. Right. It's got to be somewhat unpleasant for Vladimir Putin, at least, to stand underneath that display of American firepower.
All right, then things took an interesting turn when Trump said that one of the big reasons why he wants to work with Putin to end the invasion of Ukraine is because he wants to get himself into heaven.
I just want to end it. I want to end it. You know, we're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We're losing Russian and Ukrainian, mostly soldiers. Some people, as missiles hit wrong spots or get lobbed into cities like Kiev and towns. But, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons.
Well, if Trump ever does make it to heaven or to wherever it is that he's going, J.D. Vance is ready to take up the mantle. Here's what he said. Yes, terrible tragedies happen, he told USA Today, but I feel very confident the president of the United States is in good shape, is going to serve out the remainder of his term and do great things for the American people. And if, God forbid, there's a terrible tragedy, I can't think of better on-the-job training than what I've gotten over the last 200 days. But don't worry, Vance said that Trump is in, quote, incredibly good health. And Trump's former personal physician, who is now Representative Ronnie Jackson, said, as President Trump's former personal physician, physician to the president and White House physician for 14 years across 3 administrations, I can tell you unequivocally, President Donald J. Trump is the healthiest president this nation has ever seen. I continue to consult with his current physician and medical team at the White House and still spend significant time with the president. He is mentally and physically sharper than ever before.
Not about lies.
Whenever they try so hard to sell it, I mean, we can all see with our own eyes what's going on, but really he's the healthiest president this nation has ever seen.
Right.
It makes no sense. We all remember what Obama was doing the day after he was out of office. He was hang gliding or whatever that is with the sail on the water. I don't know what it's called. Elliot, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it also reminds me a little bit of the Democratic Party last year when they were telling everyone that Biden was just the sharpest he's ever been, and clearly he wasn't. I think that Trump right now with these lies that this administration is putting out are just so kind of comical. The idea that he's doing because he's bruised because he's shaken too many hands.
Right.
Like he has a reputation for shaking hands in a way where he grabs someone really hard and pulls them into him. I don't see him being a person who's going to have his hand shaken incredibly hard by other people. So the lies are just kind of comically bad, I think. And it shows, it reminds me of like an episode of Game of Thrones where you're like, okay, we have to pretend that the king is healthy. And JD Vance is a perfect little loyal squire who is going to say, he's the sharpest, he's the healthiest, but also I'm ready to take up the crown, whatever it happens.
Yeah. Guys, I got great news for you. I'm the most fit talk show host in the nation. Okay. I weigh 175. I'm 6'2". It's okay. I got my personal doctor who is nicknamed the Candyman to vouch for me. like Republicans, you really believe in Dr. Ronnie Jackson?
Right.
I'm not kidding. They used to call him the Candyman for all the pills he handed out when he was at the White House. He's the one that was like this sweaty mess. And he's like, Trump is in great shape in the White House. And he hasn't actually been his doctor in like a decade. And he's like, greatest, most fit guy. Come on, it's so over the top. It's so dumb. But now to the heart of the issue. Do they know something we don't know? That's Trump twice talking about getting into heaven, all of a sudden out of nowhere. And remember, Trump has verbal diarrhea. Something's in his head. It's going to come out of his mouth, right? And so now JD Vance today talking about like, well, I mean, if he were to die, I'm ready. I'm like, what's going on here? And Alex Jones was what, like a week or 2 weeks ago? Like, now remember everybody, if Trump dies, here's what we're going to do. I mean, he's not going to, he's amazing. But like, do they know something we don't know? And then, I largely missed the hand thing. I didn't really care that much about it. I once saw it out of the corner of my eye, didn't pay much attention to it. But now I'm thinking, the hand thing might be something real, right? Because you combine it with the cankle thing. So look, on the cankles, and I like that we have Canklegate now. I think it's kind of hilarious. But it's not hilarious if he's got a real health problem. But for the moment being, they say he doesn't. They say it's just vigorous handshaking. Come on, guys, that's the other thing. Really, please tell me you're not going to believe that he got that from vigorous handshaking.
Right.
That's like, remember when Mitch McConnell started to freeze? And you're like, and they're like, no, there's no health problem. Dude, what do you mean there's no health problem? The brother's freezing. Like, it's on tape for like the most uncomfortable 30 to 40 seconds you've ever seen, right? And Dianne Feinstein had lost her mind. They're bringing her around in a wheelchair. They're like, how you doing, Senator Feinstein? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm Moses. And they're like, no, she's fine. She's fine. And so and there's this great irony that now the Republicans who were like, to the point that you guys made, Biden being young and dynamic. Can you believe that? But who would believe that? And they're like, oh no, Trump, best shape that any president's ever been in.
Come on.
Bruv. Okay, we have the cankles. The question is, where did it come from? So they have this, theory that they're throwing out there that all of a sudden it's the chronic venous insufficiency, which sounds like you're not getting laid enough. But anyway, so I know that's not what it is, sorry. Okay, but so that explains the cankles, but it doesn't explain the hand. So and as I read a story, I think to myself, sometimes I'll pause and be like I did with the Epstein thing. I was like, if the hallway camera is working, then maybe he committed suicide. If the hallway camera isn't working, they killed him, right? And when I got to the explanation of the men are from Venus and Mars or whatever it was, right? And so I think women are from Venus, men are from Mars. I was like, all right, well, let's see. Does it cause hand bruises as well? And then you read further, like, it does not cause hand bruises. So it's not that. It's something else. And so the way they're talking about it makes me think that it might be something related to his heart. But then now I'm just wildly guessing because they won't tell us what's real. Yeah.
Yeah, they did say it might have something to do with the blood thinners that he's on. So yeah, it could be indicative of something more serious going on, but we're never going to hear about it from them because all we hear is that this man who is obviously unhealthy, even before all of this, he was not exactly the picture of health. You know, like he eats McDonald's all day and he eats well-done steaks with ketchup, which I know is not necessarily an unhealthy habit, but it's a gross habit and I don't like it, you know, so.
Health is in a complete death spiral. There's just no other way to put it. Yesterday, he put on 3 press conferences in the Oval. And I think, you guys, this is what I think is happening. He is so demented that he's like, let's do a press conference. And so they call the press pool and they get them all together and everybody goes, sits down and he talks about people leaving the garage doors open in Beverly Hills, people keeping their trunks open in Beverly Hills because people are just like, you're going to take it anyway. Just come take all my stuff. All of this is lies. He lies nonstop. The press doesn't cover it. And so they just keep running in to cover all of these lies. And here's what comes out of this. So Philip Wegman says Trump is calling the press pool into the Oval Office for a 3rd time today. Never seen this before. Kara Lyon, KKK Levitt, says President Trump is the most transparent and accessible president in American history. They're having to cover up for him. Because I don't think he remembers that he did the first press conference. And I don't think he remembers that he did the second press conference. And I don't think he remembers that he did the 3rd press conference because that's how advanced the dementia is, the cognitive decline. This is before I even get to the muffin top cankles, which is why we call him canks, and these bruises all over his hands.
Well, I think the bruises all over his hands, I think that maybe because he didn't know he was going to have the press conference, he didn't have time to put the horrible makeup on it because it was marked. I mean, it was a bit, he looked like he was like, it was almost rotten. There were like sores in it.
Well, let me show you this, Pops.
Okay.
Here's Queen Elizabeth II's hand a few days before she died. And you can see the close up and it has a bruise. And this is, you know, she's up walking around and a few days later, she's dead. All right. Now let's put up Kanks's hand. Here's Kanks's hand in the Oval Office yesterday when he mistakenly does 3 press conferences in a row, crammed with all of his cabinet behind him, doting on, looking at him, nodding their heads. And I can't help but think that there's something really insidious going on, that they keep telling him, oh, you're in charge, big guy. Let's go do another press conference. Sure, keep going, because I think Stephen Miller and others, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, have massive plans because you're seeing an authoritarian ramp up right now. Mm-hmm. You have them talking about taking over American cities. Nobody shit talks this country as much as MAGA does. If he were just remotely as hard on Russia or Benjamin Netanyahu as he is on blue state governors, which are American cities, which are the economic hubs of our country, then we might still have a country. But everything that he says, he telegraphs, we don't have a country anymore. Why does he say that stuff? Because he doesn't want us to have the country the way we've had it before. But I think he's mentally off a cliff. The comparison between the Queen's hand and his hand, and then I think about what crazy ass Alex Jones says, 12 months. I think that might be too long.
Well, I'm wondering two things. What are your thoughts? I was thinking about this because his health seems to be so frail physically. We know he's off the wall dementia, but his health is so frail. Do you think they've put an accelerated timeline on this authoritarian takeover?
There's no question.
Because of his health?
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk to you about. So let's play the tape through hypothetically here. So let's say Kanks drops dead. All right. And then you've got JD Vance. And my question regarding this is, are they getting all of these cities and militarizing so that they can, have this authoritarian takeover? Because Vance doesn't have the riz. And at that point, do members of Congress, Republicans, because they see that he doesn't have the riz to keep the cult together, do they start checking the executive branch? Do they do that? I don't know. I don't know that I know that these people are ambitious. I know that they're evil, but I don't know that they think through everything as well as they think they do.
Of course not.
My thought would be that because JD Vance has been so underhanded with Trump while he's been in office, that there's an argument to be made that MAGA, who are the king and queens of conspiracies, will then start saying, because right now everybody can actually see the kind of soft coup going on. Will MAGA turn against JD Vance, not recognizing how poor his health is?
Well, there's no question when he drops dead, if he's in office when he does, there will be conspiracy theories that JD Vance had something to do with it, or that when he was in the back of the beast with Vladimir Putin, Vladimir put some long-acting, handshake. Because, if you think about it, if I were a conspiracy theorist, I could go down this rabbit hole that all of these bruises and all of this stuff started popping up after Alaska. Did Vladimir Putin do something to him? He's notorious for poisoning people. So I don't know, but I know that MAGA will do that. But when I think about his physical decline on top of his mental decline, and then I turned on Legacy News this morning, and it is just like they're covering these batshit press conferences. Like, president signs executive order for this. There's no mention of him lying. There's no mention of the bruises on his hand. There's no mention of him militarizing the cities, trash talking Americans. There's no mention of any of that, which then I want to take you to look at these photos right here. Pop this up. Look at his eyes. Look at his hand. Look at how puffy and swollen his eyes are. And
ladies and gents, I don't do drugs, but look like homeboy over there is high. Look at his eyes right there. I know he doesn't drink because his family history, his brother, Fred, I believe it's Freddie, passed away related to a lot of issues. If you want to know about his family history, ladies and gents, watch this movie called The Apprentice. The movie The Apprentice, the movie. You talk a lot about his life story, his family history back in the 70s and the 80s. All right? I strongly recommend it for you to watch this movie. And then look at his eyes right there. Look like homeboy is high as a kite. I don't know if it's related to the medicine. I don't know, but does that look normal for anybody that be like is healthy, the health of presidents that ever been in this country? Really?
this is on top of when you hear video of him, he sounds like he has marbles in his mouth and he has no idea what on earth he is talking about. Okay, so then while he's doing these 3 press conferences, Pumps, somebody in the press pool asks him about an Israeli airstrike wherein they bombed a hospital and killed 20 people and 5 journalists, an attack on the free press. And you would think the president of the United States would be briefed on this, would immediately, have advisors surrounding him where they could talk about this. And here's how he answers the question.
Get your reaction, sir. The Israelis bombed a hospital in Gaza that killed 20 people, including 5 journalists.
When did this happen?
This happened overnight, today.
I didn't know that.
any reaction to
What?
this? Are you
Well,
going
I'm
to
not
talk
happy
to Prime
about it.
Minister?
I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole nightmare. I'm the one that got the hostages out. I got them out. All of them. Steve
Okay.
Witkoff is...
He had no idea that this happened. Number one, the press just informed him of it. It's his fucking job to know about this shit because we probably paid for the bombs that did that. And then he just sits there and lies and says he, Kanks, got all of the hostages out, all of them. Which is all of this is completely goes unfact checked. Is it not alarming to the media at large that the president of the United States has no idea that Benjamin Netanyahu is continuing to bomb hospitals and kill journalists? And he finds out during one of his 3 press conferences / show and tell / arts and crafts hour at the Oval period.
I have 2 questions about this. I could go either way. They told him and he's completely forgotten about it, and or they haven't told him because they know he's incapable of making any decisions and they just make the decision. Both scenarios are profoundly disturbing. But here's the thing. He says the same thing about Russia. Well, I'm not happy about it. Okay, well, do something about it. Do something about Vladimir Putin. Do something about Benjamin Netanyahu.
He's incapable.
Nothing. But I want to point this out regarding his looks. I feel like his orange has turned kind of a yellowy color. And I've noticed with older people, when they're really sick, they kind of have a gray pallor. Put the orange on top, and that's kind of the color I'm seeing. Like, it's bad.
You never know with like filters with cameras and media and all of that. But he definitely, I mean, the bruising, the cankles, the swollen eyes, the 3 press conferences in a row, like a psychopath. And then he does not know these major geopolitical things that are happening with our taxpayer dollars. And somebody in the press pool, which they've cherry picked, sycophants to be in there, ask him about it. And then he lies and says, I released the hostages. I released all of them, which is a complete lie. And so when I turned on the news this morning, stupidly, I thought maybe the Chiron might say Trump lies and says he released all the Israeli hostages. Has no clue that Benjamin Netanyahu is bombing hospitals and killing journalists. This is a massive story. This is something Jake Tapper wrote an entire book about. And Joe Biden knew what was going on in terms of this, and furthermore was surrounded by competent people. Now, Joe Biden's stance on Israel, I didn't completely agree with, but the fact that he doesn't know this tells you that this MFer is the easiest guy to dog walk on the planet. Netanyahu's dog walking him and has told people in his administration to either keep it from him, or we all know from Trump 1.0, he's wildly uninterested in policy. He finds these meetings very boring, that oftentimes during Trump 1.0, the people who got out of it said that he was just sitting on Twitter the whole time and was not interested in foreign policy at all, which brings me to the issue regarding Russia and Ukraine. So he's asked this question in one of his three press conferences yesterday in the Oval. Play the clip.
Historic summit here with Ukrainian President Zelensky, European leaders all met here with you at the White House. You said you wanted to get this done bilateral as soon as possible. Have you spoken to Putin since last Monday?
Yeah, I have.
What is your conversation? Or can you share?
Every conversation I have with him is a good conversation. And then unfortunately, a bomb is loaded up into Kiev or someplace, and then I get very angry about it. I think we're going to get the war done. It's tough. I thought that would be, of the 7 that I settled, I thought that would be the easiest of the group. See, you never know what's going to happen.
Okay, war. Here's the problem with this, you guys. I'm not only lying about, solving all these wars. He's incapable of deducing that Putin is manipulating him, despite CIA and massive military intelligence that has done psychological profiles that Putin is a former KGB agent. He is a dictator. He is a war criminal. He is absolutely going to know how to play you. But he says with a straight face, I don't get it. I'm talking to him on the phone and he's super nice and we get along great. And then the next thing I know, he's bombing Kyiv. And the fact that nobody around him or that he doesn't realize that we are getting played by Russia because he's so stupid and because he falls prey to superficial flattery so easily, tells me that the people behind the scenes running this government, because it's not this guy.
No.
Not this guy with that hand, with those kinks, with those bloodshot eyes, talking about people leaving the garage doors open in Beverly Hills and claiming that he released all of the hostages that Hamas has. He just said that. Nobody's checking that. And he thinks Putin's his friend. This is just an absolute catastrophic nightmare.
It's a catastrophic nightmare because people are dying as a result of the poor leadership in the United States, not only in concentration camps. I keep hearing about the death and ICE custodies going up, but we have Ukrainians dying. We have Gazans dying. This man doesn't give a shit.
Well, and we have to point out the United States sent and probably paid for those bombs that bombed that hospital and killed those journalists. And so when I hear Democrats that take AIPAC money talk about attacks on journalists and all of these things that happen in Russia or in the United States, you have zero credibility. Zero credibility if you're not calling out Benjamin Yahoo. And in fact, they all took photos with him when he was in the United States a couple of months ago. So it's just, I don't know who's going to save us, Pumps, but I don't have a lot of faith in the Democrats. I sure as fuck don't have a lot of any faith whatsoever in Kanks because they want to completely rip up the Constitution and go full-blown Kim Jong-un. But all of this stuff just gets more and more terrifying by the day. And the media is 100% complicit in this massive cover-up. All right, that's all we have. Tune in later today for some more uplifting news at iHip News. Support us so that we can do this every day by buying our book. The link is below in the show notes. Life is a Lazy Susan of shit sandwiches. We'll see you all soon.
And ladies and gents, as we watch these three videos right here, once again, I gotta give you credit to Don Lemon, the Young Turk, that I've had it, and you're gonna see as you screen the Vinian Lake Church. I'm going to play this video shortly, so because I have some for you to guys watch related to what this pastor that is, I agree 100% what he's saying. All right. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to say is, for those that believe in Trump and believe on the Republican Party, that they think they have the best interest of you, I'm going to say, God bless your heart. And she, on the last video that I've had it, this lady say, you know, for those that watch my channel for a long time, you already know, I say that many times, I hate corruption or misleading people. So it doesn't matter, even though I'm a Democrat, but to me, it doesn't matter. If it happened in the Democrat Party, get rid of it. I'm not going to give excuse or justify the mistakes or the wrongdoing of somebody else on the Democrat Party just to justify my party. You know what I'm saying? That's me, personally. So, when the lady from I Have Had It, said the last video that I played was stating that, hey, some Democrats were taking picture of Netanyahu because they got some money, they need to get rid of the Democrat Party. Period. Because a lot of people are dying, a lot of children, and that's the thing to me. Is a lot of children are being starved and a lot of children are dying because Netanyahu. Now, whatever Netanyahu and the Palestinian people relate to Hamas is, to me, is a separate situation. And also, that does not what Hamas is doing, and the October 7th attack does not justify the killing of innocent people on both sides. The Hamas kill innocent Israeli on the festival, is not right. The same way what Israel is doing to prevent providing food for children is not correct either. It's not right either. You know what I'm saying, ladies and gents? So, and for Trump say, I'm doing everything that go to heaven to make to heaven, homeboy, I'm going to play this video right here that I want you to watch this with me right now from the Vinny Lakes Church, the pastor from that church.
Mr. Trump wants heaven when he dies, but he's creating real hell while he lives. And what I want to say to him is you cannot sow seeds of hell now and expect a harvest of heaven later.
Exactly.
And so my advice to you would be to turn around. The prophets called it repentance. Because, friend, the path that you are headed down does not lead to heaven. And the reason I say that with authority is because heaven is not about there and then. Hell is not about there and then. It's here and now. And I've seen the fruits of the path you are taking our country in, and it is producing hell for the marginalized, the outcast, and the alone. And what I would say to you is that you need to turn around on your path. Move away from the billionaires and start moving toward those on the underside. Because if you want Christ to save you, Christ stands before you in the homeless that you're moving out of D.C. Christ stands before you in the starving kids in Gaza. Christ stands before you with the widow that no longer has health care.
Right.
Christ stands before you in the immigrant that you are pushing out of this country.
Exactly.
And I would also just say, I do have good news for you, Mr. President. Unlike the borders of the United States, where you keep out the marginalized, the outcast, and the alone, John of Patmos tells us in Revelation, the gates of heaven are always open. And the invitation is given.
So, ladies and gents, as the pastor just state and give President Trump his 2 cents, I agree 100% with what he said. And that's go to all MAGA people and all the Republican people that still think they are the Christian party and they think they're going to heaven. Homeboy, you need to go ahead and open your Bible and read the words of Jesus on the New Testament when they say, when I was hungry, you did not feed me. When I was homeless, you did not give me a place to eat. And how Heavenly Father, what have I done? When you say that you're hungry, I did not feed you. It's the same way the people that you mistreated on this earth. That was a representation of me. You do not take care of them. You definitely do not care about me. So for all these white Christians, these Republican people, and these MAGA people that are crying about the immigrants and all this gets done, and by who go to church every Sunday, think they're going to make it to heaven, you know, just go back and listen to what the pastor say and have a reflection of look at yourself in the mirror and have a reflection of what you are doing. You ought to have done and what you're doing. You know, I said that many times before. I'm going to say it one more time. It's the law of physics, ladies and gents. For every action, there is a reaction. The seeds that you sow on this earth is going to be what you reap on afterlife. And I'm going to close to a quote of Maximus from the movie Gladiator. On the first first battle on the movie, that he was in the bushes with all the Roman soldiers. They say, what to do on this earth, it goes to eternity, ladies and gentlemen. You believe or not, whatever your spiritual guidance, what you believe, you know, on my beliefs in what, now I believe in karma. I live my life based on the law of physics, and I truly believe that what we do on this earth, it goes to eternity. So once you die, there's no turning back. So some people here is going to be wondering what's going on, you know, in afterlife, make assumption, or maybe his family think that, oh, Trump died, he's going to heaven. The God that I know, the teachings of Jesus says different way. But if that's the route you want to think and still doing wrong things, and if you die on this way, homeboy, the God that I believe, that I know, that I believe, says other way. All right, ladies and gents, I hope you liked this video, and if you do like this video, please do me a favor, click on the like button, subscribe. You can go to, like I say, Don Lemon, the Young Turks, the I've Had It, and the Vinny Lakes Church. Go to the website, click on them. You're going to see more works, support the work as well. And if you like my work that I do, please click on the subscribe button and share this video with at least 5 people. So once again, please be safe, be kind, and be blessed. And do the best what you can do with what you got. Salute. And I see you next Saturday with another awesome podcast episode. Holla!
Coming from the bottom, moving straight to the top.